In this video, we will review how to start a new tax return, from starting the new return all the way to entering the basic information, which is essentially the top of the 1040 form. So to start the new tax return, we will select Start New Tax Return. We will then enter the Social Security number for the taxpayer, and then when we're done, go ahead and select Start Return. There's then going to be a pop-up to remind you about the 7216 consent reminder, and the next page will then ask you to select the filing status for the taxpayer. If you're unsure about the filing status for the taxpayer, there's a filing status wizard that can help you determine what is the best filing status for this individual. But for this example, I'll just select Head of Household and then click Continue to save it. It then prompts me to enter the personal information for the taxpayer here under personal information. And what I can do is I can either hit the tab key or use the mouse, whichever you're more comfortable with. And after entering the name, date of birth, occupation, there will be a few checkboxes for customization. But for this example, we'll just keep it pretty basic, keep it pretty simple. It then asks me to enter the address for this particular taxpayer. And a really cool thing that I love about the software is entering the zip code does automatically pre-populate the city and state. And then the next part is entering the phone number for the client. And when you're done with that, go ahead and click Continue to save. It will then ask me if there is an applicable state return that should be included on this return. Obviously, it's recognizing that I put a Georgia address in, and at this point, you can enter a email address for the taxpayer. And once you're done, go ahead and click Continue to save. And it then brings me to the dependent section. Now, this is a Head of Household return, so we would need to enter a dependent, right? So I'll go ahead and say yes, and then we'll enter the dependent's information right here. And the cool thing is if you tab to the last name, it'll automatically pre-populate the same last name as the taxpayer that you began entering information for the return. You can also override that if the last name is different for the dependent. Then enter date of birth, social security number for the dependent. I'll then have to answer a residency question. What is the type of relationship between the taxpayer and the dependent? Another cool thing is it defaults to being with the taxpayer for all 12 months, which you can change if applicable, but whenever you're done, go ahead and click Continue to save and progress. And here you'll have a snapshot of all of the dependents you've entered on this return so far. And if you need to add any more, you can click this link right here to add more dependents. If you need to make any edits to the fields, you can click that pencil button. If you need to delete anyone, you can click that trash button. If you have no more dependents to add, go ahead and click the Continue button. And this is the last piece of basic information, is the identity theft protection pin. If you do not have one to enter, you can click Continue to save, and that will conclude the whole process of creating a tax return from scratch.